Thorns of the Waking Court. Chapter 15. Queen of Thorns. Silence settled over Thorn Court like a deep, profound benediction, a cleansing breath after the centuries of suffocating gloom. The air, once heavy with ancient sorrow and masked lies, now hummed with a quiet, vibrant energy, carrying the scent of damp earth and the sweet, almost intoxicating fragrance of newly blossoming flowers. The roots that had once consumed the hall, twisting with blight and malice, now glowed with a soft, benevolent green-gold light, their tendrils retracting, revealing the true, living wood beneath, strong and pure. The scars on the obsidian floor, where roots had burst forth, began to mend, weaving themselves into intricate, beautiful patterns of new growth. Aerith, still weakened but visibly gaining strength with every passing moment, looked at Calla, his silver eyes filled with a mixture of awe, profound gratitude, and a fragile, nascent hope. The blight that had clung to his form, the slow decay of the curse, had begun to visibly recede, the pallor of his skin slowly giving way to a healthier hue. The grove, its torment relieved, was now feeding him, not with poison, but with a gentle, healing life force, reconnecting him to the true source of Thorncourt's vitality. A faint, almost imperceptible warmth had returned to his touch. "You broke it," he whispered, his voice gaining strength, losing the rasp that had defined it for so long. "The curse, it's gone, truly gone. You have done what generations of kings could not." He looked at her not as a subject, but as an equal, a force of nature that had redeemed them all. Calla looked at her hand, the sigil on her wrist pulsing with a steady, radiant glow that was no longer a symbol of inherited suffering, but of pure, untamed power. She had channeled the grove's rage, its suffering, and its desperate longing for balance. The root marks on her arm, once raw and new, had settled, becoming beautiful, intricate patterns that pulsed with her own heartbeat, a living tattoo of her bond to the grove. The curse was indeed broken, not by brute force, but by reconnection, by listening to the grove's true ancient song, by offering it not blood, but breath and truth. Her gaze then fell to the blackroot tree at the heart of the grove, the very one where her mother had been rooted for centuries. The colossal cradle, once a symbol of endless agony and broken vows, now shimmered with an inner light, a soft, verdant glow emanating from its gnarled branches. The bark, once cold and unyielding, felt alive beneath her fingertips. As she watched, a single, delicate white lily, impossibly vibrant and pure, unfurled from its ancient bark, trembling slightly in the newly cleansed air. It was a sign, a promise. Calla walked to it, her heart pounding with a desperate, almost unbearable hope. She reached out, her fingers trembling as they touched the rough, living bark of the tree. The warmth that radiated back was not just from the grove, but from something deeper, more personal. And then, a voice. "Calla." It was soft, gentle, filled with a warmth that spread through Calla's entire being, dissolving centuries of grief, of longing, of unspoken pain. Not a whisper from the roots, but a voice, clear and distinct, echoing from the living wood, vibrant with life. A voice she knew intimately, even though she had never heard it before. A woman's form began to emerge from the blackroot, slowly, miraculously, like morning mist parting, or a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. Ash-dark hair, flowing like a midnight river, fell around a face that was both ancient and youthful. Skin like rich earth, scarred but radiant. Eyes the color of moss after a soft rain, holding boundless love. Scars laced her arms and legs, intricate patterns woven into her flesh, but they were no longer marks of agony, but lines of enduring strength, symbols of her fierce defiance. She took a step, then another, from the bark into the air, tangible and real. She was whole. She was alive. Her mother. Tears streamed down Cala's face as she reached out, a raw, choking sob escaping her lips. Her mother's hands, warm and real, clasped hers, a touch that transcended time and suffering. It was a reunion across centuries, across death, across curses, a silent embrace filled with all the love and loss of 17 long years. It was the healing of a generational wound, the culmination of a mother's sacrifice and a daughter's unwavering devotion. The warmth of her mother's embrace felt like a sunrise after an endless twilight. The court watched in stunned, reverent silence, witnessing a miracle they had deemed impossible, a legend come to life. Even Aerith, standing among his few loyalists, felt the profound weight of this reunion, the immense redemption it offered not just to Cala, but to him, to Thorncourt, to his own scarred soul. He saw the woman he had loved, alive and free, and a quiet, profound peace settled over his weary features. Later, as the full extent of the grove's rejuvenation became apparent, the roots in the hall continuing to mend, the air growing lighter, the eternal twilight showing hints of a softer, purer light, and the king's health steadily improved, the question of the throne arose. The chancellor, his dark magic stripped away, was imprisoned, a pathetic, broken shell of his former power. Riven was gone, consumed by his own ambition, lost to the realm. The court, once fractured and grasping, now looked to Cala, not with fear, but with a mixture of awe and hopeful expectation. Aerith, his face now truly free of the shadowglass mask and the blight that had veiled his features for centuries, looked at her with a profound, almost paternal tenderness. "The curse is broken, Cala. The throne of Thorncourt is yours, if you wish it. You are the Queen of Thorns, chosen by the Grove, savior of this realm, inheritor of its power and its future." His voice was filled with a humble acceptance, a quiet joy. Cala looked at him, then at her mother, who stood by her side, a quiet strength radiating from her, a shared history woven into their intertwined fingers. She looked at Alira, her steadfast ally, her eyes reflecting the dawning hope. And in her heart, she felt the loyal spirit of Elias, watching over them, his sacrifice honored, his legacy preserved. She looked at the newly vibrant roots of the grove, no longer hungry, but breathing, pulsating with pure, untamed life. She saw the cycle broken. "I refuse the throne," Cala said, her voice clear and strong, resonating with the very essence of the grove's renewed vitality, amplified by its boundless energy. Thorncourt does not need another king or queen bound by a cursed throne, trapped by ancient mistakes. It needs freedom, true freedom, not just from the curse, but from the old ways of power and control. A ripple of astonishment passed through the assembly, quickly replaced by a sense of revelation. The court, accustomed to the grasping for power, suddenly understood the profound difference in Cala's leadership. The old ways, the prophecies, the endless cycles of power and decay, they are over, Cala declared, her gaze sweeping over the assembled courtiers, challenging their deepest assumptions. "The grove is free, and so are we. I will not rule over you as a monarch, bound by the throne's demands. But I claim the future of Thorncourt in my own name, a future where the grove flourishes, untamed and respected, a true partner in life, not a captive, a future where oaths are honored, not broken, a future where this realm connects to the waking world, not by forced consumption or veiled threat, but by choice, by shared life, by a true symbiotic bond. Her voice held the promise of a new dawn, a defiance of prophecy itself, a forging of a path that had never existed. She would make her own fate, and Thorncourt's too. The court was hers, not by right of bloodline or prophecy, but by the strength of her will, the truth of her magic, and the courage to break the chains of the past. Aerith, freed from the burden of the throne, now a guiding elder, looked on with a serene smile. Elias's legacy was secured. Riven's ambition had led to his own undoing. Alira, once a victim, now stood tall as a loyal ally. The Chancellor, the true antagonist, was finally unmasked and defeated, too late to prevent the awakening. The grove pulsed around them, no longer a hum of sorrow, but a deep, resonant song of vibrant, flourishing life, a testament to the breaking of chains and the triumph of truth. Calla, the Queen of Thorns, unburdened by a crown, stood at the threshold of a new beginning, bathed in the soft, growing light of Thorncourt's first true dawn, ready to weave a different story for her realm and for herself. End of Chapter 15. This was a SDC multimedia presentation. Please check out our other titles.